Joining us now, as he does every week at this time, is former Clinton White House counsel and author of the new book, Crisis Tales, 5 Rules for Coping with Crisis in Business, Politics, and Life. That's due out momentarily, any second now. It could have just dropped yesterday on Amazon, for all I know. Lanny Davis joins us. Lanny, thanks for joining us today.
I have to tell both of you something that's been happening lately. People will literally come up to me on the street and say, listen to you on WMAL every Thursday. And I said, really, what do you think? And they shake their hands like they're something like a funeral look, and they say, I really feel sorry for you.
That's funny. We get the same thing,
absolutely
Lanny.
The same thing, Larry.
All right, Lanny, I want to ask you, when your friend Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, was up for nomination to Secretary of State, there were a lot of questions about former President Bill Clinton's speeches that he had been giving for the last 8 years overseas. Right? There were legitimate questions, and if I remember right, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton disclosed all of those speeches, where all the money was coming from, so that there was never an appearance of impropriety, or that the senators could at least have all the information in front of them and they could make their sound decision on the nomination. Why was that okay then, but you say that Senator Ted Cruz, by basically asking the same thing of Chuck Hagel, is over the top?
Well, actually, I think I added that Lindsey Graham had a point that there should be transparency by Senator Hagel about everything, every dollar, every client, and Benghazi should be 100%. Whatever questions are asked to the White House, they should do their best to answer.
And do you believe that has happened?
I think I ended up by agreeing with your point, but on Cruz, I think probably Senator Cruz himself would think to himself, I could have worded that differently, because the way he worded the question really suggested that there was something about patriotism and loyalty that he was concerned about. And when it comes to Senator Hagel, I think I added in that piece that I don't question his integrity or his patriotism.
So Ted Cruz is correct on the issue, but you just wish he would have asked the question in a better way.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct in asking for transparency, as is Graham and everyone. I don't understand. Maybe there's nothing to tell that I don't understand. In fact, my column today about crisis management and transparency, and my book about crisis management, is about the best thing to do, even if there are bad facts, is get them out quickly and explain them or apologize for them or do something with them. But by not releasing this information, you're just raising doubts that maybe are unnecessary.
On that point, I was just having this conversation with Larry about our president and sometimes his lack of judgment when it comes to those things. Let me just go back. The day after Benghazi, the attack at Benghazi, the president thought the most important thing that he should do is go to Las Vegas for a fundraiser. Just the other day, as we are facing sequester cuts, and the president is talking about the dire consequences that we will see in this country if we take 1 1/4% out of our federal budget in an annual year. He went to Florida, spent $1 million on a golf vacation so he could play a round of golf with Tiger Woods. Those aren't great public relations decisions by this White House.
I wouldn't want to disappoint your audience that this is all kumbaya this morning. So it's one of those give me a break responses to you. Every president has a right to go play golf. And
I absolutely agree with you.
And, we could say that from Dwight Eisenhower all the way through certainly Bill Clinton.
I would not disagree with you at all, Lanny, but let me just point out, you don't do that just before you're about to make the major case to the American people that there are dire consequences coming if we don't do something about the sequester. It seems like, everybody's entitled to a little vacation time. I don't decry the president the opportunity to do that, but why would you do something like that just before you're going to weep and cry and gnash your teeth about what's going to happen with the sequester?
I don't think there's a bad juxtaposition of playing golf and talking about the national debt. If it was after 9/11 and you went out to play golf, of course that would be unseemly. But look, let me go back to at least what we can agree on, which is my transparency argument, and shamelessly plug my forthcoming book, Crisis Tales. So why does the White House make a big mystery about his playing golf? Why do they shut out the white press corps? For goodness sakes, even liberal White House reporters have called me and complained.
It actually,
like that.
yeah, Lanny, it turned it into a 3-day news cycle.
Why not
right?
let people see him playing golf with Tiger Woods? I don't know any golfer who wouldn't love to be playing golf with Tiger Woods. They made a big deal out of it by making it secret.
Right, and they turned it into a 3-day news cycle. And Jay Carney admitted the reason they didn't want that picture out there is because they were afraid of bad optics.
Yeah, so this is the classic mistake of crisis management. This White House made that mistake on Solyndra. But at the end of the day, Solyndra was about poor judgment, not dishonesty. Yet they withheld the emails that dribbled out over several months, and they made a bigger story. Getting it out and getting in front of the story is the rule of crisis management. You know, Royal Caribbean did it right when it had a man overboard. I write about that in my book and compare that to Carnival. They're like ostrich in the sands, hoping if they don't say anything about those poor people cruising out there that nobody will notice. Well, guess what? We noticed not only the people on the ship, we noticed the fact that they weren't telling us very much information, making the crisis even worse.
So, Lanny, let's bring it back to Hagel then, because it sounds to me, if we can continue the kumbaya, it sounds to me like you agree that it's a legitimate question to ask with regard to the financial disclosure for the speeches he's given. And you agree that we should have gotten more information on Benghazi. We still don't have it. We still don't have the disclosure on Hagel. So why on earth are you saying in your latest column that it's time for a vote on Hagel? Let's let him go through. I mean, taken by your agreement that there's a problem here, shouldn't the Senate do the responsible thing and hold this up until all those questions are answered?
Well, let's just separate the two issues. I don't know whether Senator Hagel has anything to hide. I'm assuming he doesn't. It's the classic mistake of making something look bad rather than being transparent and getting out in front. So that's the crisis management rule. Regarding a vote for a cabinet secretary nominated by the president, the bar is so high that the president shouldn't be allowed to name anyone he wants. It's a very high bar. It really goes to moral turpitude, and it has happened so rarely, especially on national security positions like defense. I think he certainly deserves a vote, and not 60 votes with a filibuster. And I think that Republicans will come around, and even, I believe, John McCain will allow a vote.
All right, Lanny.
We'll leave it there.
We will talk to you next week, and make sure you tell all those WMAL listeners that stop you on the street that we say hi.
It's not that bad, I'll tell them.
All right. Thanks, Lanny.